I'm willing to ask
There's
for
Ron.
There's Ron right here.
What questions did we fast forward?
You know what, we definitely fast forwarded through the profit section.
Yeah.
And how we.
None of us are profitable.
Yeah. And how we, and I think we've, like, there was a Drupal 7, I know, at breakfast, we had a conversation about whether we're gonna do, when we're gonna adopt Drupal 7,
Yeah.
and whether that's important to people or not. I don't, you know, since it's such a limited group, you guys care about that at all?
Well, I've already made the decision that my little shop is going to start implementing Drupal 7 at the beginning of 2011 for all of our dynamic projects. For the brochure, we're still going to do 6 because there's still going to be added support for that.
Sure.
But for all the dynamic stuff, we want to use 7. You know, Examiner being the one key that shows us it's possible. So,
Right.
I mean, is that a good timing for that? Because it'll be in beta by the end of the year, right?
I think when we were talking about it, we all went back to our Drupal 6 experience. And I think that's the biggest issue. And what we got, maybe Mike, you can talk about, you know, the wonderful time we had at Drupal 6 and what.
Just spending a lot of money to try to get stuff ready for it before.
Well, you're halfway in it, you're in a module, and you think it's going to work, and then you go to deploy it, and there's bugs, and you spend 3 days trying to, you know, figure out what the bugs are. And it's great because it moves.
You're moving the technology.
Moving the
right?
technology, but the client isn't going to pay for that. Now they're doing a much better job this time on Drupal 7, no doubt. They're trying to get these things through, etc. But I know there's a discussion in my group. You know, the technology guys want to start using it today, and I want to wait till 2012. You know, and not literally, but it's just, when does it make sense?
We kind of went through a similar sort of situation with the Drupal 5, Drupal 6 sort of scenario when we had a large client that we were going to be doing some work for, and we were debating whether to use Drupal 5 or do we take the leap with Drupal 6. In hindsight, it was a much better move to Drupal 6 because support with them on a going forward basis was a lot easier. I mean, it was the right decision in hindsight. So I think Drupal 7 is there, or it's going to be there pretty soon, in the sense that if depending on the customer, if it's a small brochure site sort of thing, you know, stick with what you know.
Right. You remember when moving to 6, there was a lot of problems of waiting for views to show up and things like that. That really holds back. I don't think you really had that so much this time, do you?
That's
Probably a few modules here and there.
Exist, yes, but
No, it's a lot better though.
Yeah.
It's a lot better. Absolutely.
certainly with the big things like views or something, yeah. But there will be one-off modules that you're just going to have to bite the bullet and say, we're going to have to reinvest and push this. Find out who the maintainer is and say, look, we're going to, you haven't gotten this up to speed yet, so we're going to do it for you, you know.
Well,
Investment.
Some of us don't have that luxury.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we're not a development shop, so we don't have the problem of deciding. We have the problem of having to work with whatever they decided to do. But we're encouraging people to wait at least until 7 is actually released before they build something in 7. But that doesn't mean they necessarily listen to us. But I've sat down with the Drupal 7 installation and tried to do SEO on it, and a bunch of the modules that work great in 6 are crashed in 7. Because 7 changed the way URLs are rendered. And so modules that change the URL, like Path Auto and Global Redirect and some things like that, they don't work anymore. And so the guys ported them over, and so sure, there's a dev release for it, but then you install it and it crashes your site. You get this pages and pages of errors because it's trying to, it gets in this constant loop of trying to rewrite the URLs, and it doesn't resolve. So, it's not ready yet. It's not ready yet.
The APIs changed a lot in because we had we have several modules that we are supporting and have made the 7 commitment. Day 7 is released.
That you support or you maintain?
Both, yeah. Late API changes is sort of frustrating. It's like, all right, well, this worked 3 weeks ago. We didn't change the code, and when that's happening in July, it's like, well, we're not going to go, probably not going to mess around with this again until actually, for serious, I want beta. At that point, though, probably a lot of people are in that same boat. But that's maybe where all of those SEO modules are at too. It's like
depends who you are too.
Yeah.
Right? If you're a development shop and you want to contribute, it's a great way to contribute. I do feel obligated that my company should work on 7 earlier than so that we can add bugs and et cetera, right? But we're doing the Drupal.org project, and it's on 6 because 7's just not ready for that big of a project yet. So, it's a question that you guys have to ask yourselves, but from advice, I'd say wait as long as you can. I know another topic you had 12.
No, I'm sorry, down to 12 critical issues.
Oh, yeah.
As I just want to look it up. It's been dropping a lot recently.
Yeah. I know another subject, and then I'll open it up all for questions, that we've been talking a lot about this morning is about the big companies coming in and what impact that's going to have and how it's going to change. We had a really good debate at breakfast was, well, what if IBM or Capgemini comes in, and is it going to change? Are we going to be able to make money 2-3 years from now? And maybe you guys can pick that up, but it was a really good conversation. Is that something that's interesting, you guys? Yeah. Mike, do you remember what we're talking about?
I was sleeping.
We didn't end up going.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna affect things differently than some of the conversations we were having. I don't know the structure of, how people are running stuff with their companies here, but most of the people who we were with are kind of in the, anywhere from 10 to 40 people, I guess, agencies that we're running. So they're not huge, but they're not one-person shops either. They're, that in between kind of. And and then we had different views on this too, but when the big companies are coming in, it's something we have to take note of, and again, establishing your niche, we were talking about that a lot, possibly looking at, well, what are they doing, what are they going after, just be very conscious of it, because if we're not, there's, I hate to sound like doom and gloom, but there is the potential that they can come in and essentially cannibalize, all of the work in the space. Not all of it, but a lot of it, a lion's share of it. So forming for us, without giving away, lots of trade secrets, I guess, the kind of high-level thoughts are, it takes conferences like this, breakfasts like that, drinking last night like we were together, like strategizing, making sure that although Drew Gorton from Gorton Studios runs an agency and for all intents and purposes is a competitor of mine, he and I are really good friends. And we talk a lot about just companies and our companies and running our companies, but also Drupal and the state of Drupal and the state of the elephants, in terms of big agencies coming into our space and crowding it, outsourcing models and what that looks like, Everyone's looking at all the same stuff, so don't just depend on yourself, really collaborate. Just like, it's open source, our developers are collaborating as managers and owners, even if it's a one-person shop. There needs to be a high level of collaboration and, kind of strategically aligning yourself with
If we can help each other succeed, that's to everybody's benefit.
Yeah.
So,
And trying to avoid failures, and like among any of us.
So healthy competition in open source is kind of just automatic leverage, right?
Yeah, I think so. Right now, again, it's tough because we are, Jeff's keynote this morning was great. I thought, probably to everyone, I'm sure if we're in this room, then you probably thought the same thing. It was great. It really spoke to a lot of these type of conversations we're having. But the whole idea of the wave, potentially it's getting big, like, I agree with that, and at the same time, I do feel like it's a little bit of a bubble too that we're on, just like the .com bubble. Drupal is huge right now, and it's a wave that we actually a lot of us are riding. But yeah, I don't know. Competition is good. It's the way I'm trying to express it. Take it. You coined it. You said it really well. Like, let's take advantage of how we can partner with each other and cooperate with each other, while it's easy to do that.
Yeah, okay.
Because that might not be the case. Like I said, so large, big agencies, this and that, RPA, they come into this space and start taking big lion's share. All of a sudden, we're all fighting for the scraps, basically.
Right.
You're not going to see the same level of friendliness you see right now. Hey, let's talk about, No, because I have to feed my people. I don't. Drew could worry about his people.
Yeah, right.
They're not my people. I need to feed my people. So it's going to be a lot harder. So let's not take it for granted. Let's not become complacent. Let's take advantage of it, now. It is, right now, it's a little bit of a feeding frenzy, the rest of the economy is in the shitter, and has been for quite some time. And Drupal did take a little bit of a dip.
A little, but not nearly as
but not nearly as much, in the grand scheme of things. and it's already on its way back up. And I agree with Jeff's slide again, where with the government adoption now, it really is this way. Like there's so much potential work. So the market's going to get flooded with competitors, and competition may increase.
Low quality competitors
Yeah,
is the problem.
that too, yeah.
That's the problem. Like people are just jumping in and doing it bad will bruise the because they'll blame the technology when they fail, because they will fail because they don't get. I mean, project management is critical, but and understanding client expectations and such. But the first time you do anything, any new technology, you're not the best at it.
Right.
And if there's a lot of inexperienced implementations, they will, by virtue of that, have issues.
Another thing we talked about this morning was is that right now we're in the center of the conversation. We're helping lead Drupal, and and there's still opportunities to help lead Drupal, and that's exciting. We get meet up and we talk about where Drupal's going to go. We get to talk to trees, and all of those conversations get to still happen at our level. But sooner or later, that if we don't figure out how to grow and continue to change the conversation, those conversations are going to happen without us.
Yeah.
Acquia is going to start talking to IBM or Capgemini and Rackspace or whoever, and we're just not going to be part of those conversations anymore. We're going to do what they decide, and this is our opportunity now to stay relevant and sort of collaborate or whatever we have to do to get there.
Or the other problem will be that it'll fracture. Like you remember Joomla was Mambo, and there was a big fight there, and that really hurt that whole project.
Are there examples of something that we can look at in the past, technologies I haven't thought a whole lot about this yet, but are there examples of things we can look at in the past that went the right way perhaps, or we think went the right way or went the wrong way? What did they do right or wrong to kind of...
I've been thinking about that a fair amount. I don't have an answer, but I think transportation. I think there's something about, actually this is really, it's very early thinking, but I think one of the things, there's something fundamental about the power of the internet to reduce communication costs, which I think may be similar to what happened when international shipping became really easy and available. You could ship your laundry to, there's the old Clipper ships going across the Pacific, something like that. So I don't know. I suspect there's something there.
Is it okay to join in?
Yeah. Right. Yeah,
Just
exactly.
break it,
Actually, can we just go around? I'm Drew.
Yeah.
You're Ron. You guys did intros already.
Yeah.
Good.
My name's Eric Baldwin. I'm from Orlando, Florida. Been doing my own thing for close to 5 years now. Been using Drupal to help aid me on that journey for the last 3 years. Attended every conference except for Copenhagen. Lots of Drupal camps. Helped organize Central Florida Drupal camp for the last 2 years. We just started organizing it this month. Hopefully we'll have another batch in February.
Cool.
My name is Clifton Mack, and I've been in IT for about 30 years, but in the web since 96, and Drupal for the last 2.5 years. I kind of resisted management systems, content management systems. I like to roll my own,
Yes.
but I'm beginning to see a lot of value.
I'm new to Drupal. This is my first workshop, first day. I think I've shared with several of you. My background is healthcare and housing for the elderly. I started in healthcare in 1963. I believe I have an answer to what you were asking about history. And so I refer to my knowledge and experience and commitment is that it's possible to streamline the administrative process, for example, of healthcare. And it's only a $4 trillion business now. But when I heard the things that were going on today, I can see easily how a team like this could put something together because each of you are bringing your expertise to the table. And so I've been working on streamlining the healthcare industry, cross-industry applications by having the knowledge of understanding cross-industry. That is, being licensed insurance since the 60s, so I'm looking at it from the insurance company's point of view. Real estate, the 1980s, long-term care, 17 years experience. And so what I'm bringing to the table is cross-industry knowledge and the levels of understanding of each of those industries by drilling down to some areas of expertise. And some of my heroes are Pascal in 1653, the will and the understanding. It's understanding other people's needs, in my opinion. And then Tolstoy said, if you do not know history, you're going to repeat its mistakes. So if we look at these historical people who have made inroads into business, industry, and government education, years ago I coined the idea or concept, the Big E concept, business, industry, government, and education all working together in a collaborative effort. It hasn't happened now, but since the White House has Drupal, it may can happen. But what's happening is everybody sees what each is looking for, in my opinion, rather than working together collectively as a team. It's like I learned recently. A person who had a 10-year business plan is trying to figure out what they're going to do the next 5 years. And so the idea was that, and when someone was talking about vision earlier today, you have to have a vision quest. And that is you get so busy with the mission, you lose sight of the vision, and you take your eyes off the target of the bullseye. And so in the travel industry, what I've learned over the years is that different businesses and industries, and I tell them horizontal, vertical, and enterprise-wide. And then sometimes I have to repeat that, horizontal, vertical, and enterprise-wide, because they're so busy listening to what I'm saying, they should know that's not horizontal. But anyway, that's the way the original maps were done early on, years ago, when all the explorers were coming over here, 14th, 15th century or whatever. And so the maps have been redrawn. We've got to redraw history, because this is the information society and the knowledge economy. And so it is my opinion that you can look at the business cycles of different industries. And so what I've been able to do in the past is look at the different business cycles. Like, you can really run a parallel to transportation, but the one that I focus on, because my communication skills are in healthcare and healthcare terminology. And so Pascal said the will and the understanding. But he also said, if you're going to communicate with somebody on their level, you've got to understand their industry, or you've got to understand how to communicate to them. So I have an upcoming, probably an opportunity to do consulting to a state commission on energy because of the federal stimulus dollars. Well, I'm not an expert on energy, but I am healthcare, but I studied this in 2000 and wrote three green binders on the integration of an automated system for the energy, which is a utility savings account, which is an automated integrated matching system for pricing models. Well, since I studied reimbursement for healthcare, I understand reimbursing and pricing models. And a lot of people, even in the healthcare industry, don't know that there is a medical pricing index just like other indexes. Forgive me for taking so much time, but what I'm saying is, and bottom line is, it's an education process. It's business, industry, government, education working together in a collaborative effort, but education is the driver until we communicate and educate these people on what we're trying to do. Because you're exactly right, in my opinion. The IBMs and the Oracles and the Microsofts, and forgive me if there's anybody here, but all they're going to do is come in and capitalize it, and then you've done all the work and the growth and the potential, and it's ready to punt. It's the fourth quarter, and I'm not talking about this SEC conference and the season here, but it is the season that they're fixing to come in, and they'll just capitalize it, and you guys have done all the grunt work. So I hope I haven't dominated too much, but this has been on my mind for a long time, and this is where I think we are. And as an outsider, thank you for letting me share this with you.
Sure. My name is Avi Goel. I'm with Shreejan Technologies. Basically, we're an offshore development shop focused on business in the U.S., Europe, and Middle East. And I've been attending a number of DrupalCons, Drupal camps. I live here in Atlanta, so this one was particularly convenient.
How
I
big
guess,
is that company?
What's that?
How big?
We're 40 people.
Okay.
Actually, I started the company back in 2005, and we've grown to about 15, 18 people. And we recently merged with another company over in India that was about the same size about 2 months ago. So we've grown to about 40 people now. And
When did you guys come into Drupal?
I'm sorry?
How long have you guys been doing Drupal?
We've been doing Drupal since right around the time that Drupal 5 and 6 happened, so about 2007. Yeah. Before that, we were mainly just open source development, PHP, Cake PHP framework, a lot of stuff like along those lines. We've had to fight hard against a lot of the not misconceptions, but pre-configured notions of offshoring and things like that. We've got a lot of good websites and projects under our belt, so I'd like to point to those. It's an uphill battle.
My name is Jim Smith, and I work for a TV station in Knoxville, Tennessee. And so I manage several domains under that. The main domain for the station is actually not Drupal. I wish it was, but the corporate overlords decide those things. But the reason I'm interested in this discussion is because I've been on the fence for some time now as to whether I might be in a position that I could take my knowledge of Drupal and turn it back into that industry that I'm familiar with. And many of you have spoken of finding a niche, and I think that is one that is ripe for picking, if you will, because there is nobody in that space right now.
Television?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I realize there's networks and things that are, and video companies and whatever that are using Drupal, but I'm talking about a local TV station.
Yeah.
There are a couple examples of it, but they're really kind of almost homegrown kinds of. They don't want to.
It's not a distribution.
Exactly. And the reason why I think that there's an opportunity is because the companies that are providing the services for TV stations right now are about 3 years behind where the internet is. They're not keeping pace because they're all in their own proprietary systems. They're all suffering from the weight of development, and that they don't have the advantage that open source has of step with the internet. So, but as I said, I'm on the fence with that because I just don't know if I'm the right kind of person to run a company like that. I don't really know what it takes to do that. I just know that there's an opportunity there, and I'm trying to figure that out, how to make that happen.
I wouldn't jump in with, I would just say that would be, it's really, well, all right. A lot of sense here. Maybe, sorry. If you can find somebody to pay to do it, then you know you're okay. Like if your idea is good enough that you can go to a different television station, don't necessarily quit what you're doing without at least having tried that. But if you talk to somebody and they say, yeah, we would totally do that. And you say, okay, then, all right, buy it. And then that lets you know.
And package it up as you build it, leave it generic enough that you could then go resell it.
Well, one of my thoughts was to talk my own company into, because we're a company of about 10 stations.
Yeah.
Having that marquee kind of a client that you can point to and say, hey, look, this worked really well over here, and it worked well for you. That's.
But I'm also, companies like yours that provide services, and then there's the other, and there's, of course, there's companies like Acquia that provide all kinds of other services and stuff. And I'm wondering if maybe the better route is to take a combination of companies that do services and put them together.
We've been talking a lot about that. this weekend. It's
Well,
hard to do, though.
I don't think there's any one company that can take on any Drupal project. You know, I don't think there's any of us that could do absolutely everything for any Drupal project. I mean, we could probably figure it out.
Or we know that.
You know, yeah, but a lot of us, when somebody comes to, you know, to us, for example, and says, hey, we need a Drupal website, well, you know, we say, well, look, we don't develop sites, but let's talk about your project, and let's get you plugged in with 2 or 3 companies that can do it, and you can do an RFP and get your site built, and we'll be there to hold your hand on the marketing side of things. But I'm not gonna, like, you know, try and learn how to develop Drupal websites, or relearn how to develop Drupal websites, because the client asked me for that. I mean, I think staying focused on a niche, that's one of the things about the book, The Dip, that I was talking about, is that the number 1 product in any niche outsells the number 2 product typically by 3 or 4 to 1. You know, Google's the number 1 search engine, 70% market share. Number 2 is Bing, but only because they recently kind of acquired the Yahoo side of things, and they're like 20%. You know, and so it's like they're Google's number 1 by a lot. You know, and there's lots of examples of that. But you've got to. I mean, I think it's a good niche. You uncovered a great niche, but then you've got to deliver. I think the characteristic that you've got to make a decision. One time, right before I got married, I was engaged, and I was sitting on my mother-in-law's beautiful new couch with a Dr. Pepper, which is what we drink in Texas. And of course, you know what's coming. I spilled it. It just, the whole glass went over. It soaked into the couch cushion, and I was just devastated. And you know, I got a towel and I kind of like wrung it and tucked it in and kind of got up as much as I could, but it was still wet and everything like that. And it was, you know, there was kind of a stain there. And my wife and mother-in-law, my soon-to-be future mother-in-law, walk in the door, and I said, I feel really bad. I spilled on the couch and there's the stain on it. And my wife said, we can get that out. The first thing you have to do when you're going to get a stain out of something is you have to decide that the stain's going to come out. And once you've decided the stain's going to come out, then you're not going to quit until the stain's gone, right? And I think it's the same in business. Is like you have to decide that you've built the system that is so good for television stations that you're not going to quit when you get 10 no's in a row. You know, because then if you've decided that it's going to work, and you have a reasonable reason, you have reason to believe that it's going to work, then you'll get it out through everything. Every single one of us has been through the fire. Every single one of us has taken that project that nearly bankrupts our company. Every single one of us has had, you know, put payroll on their credit card because they didn't have the cash. You know, or stuff like that. Maybe not the exact thing, but we've all been through that. But you can't, at the end of the day, you have to go to bed believing that you're in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, and then if you just keep on, you're going to make brilliant people give up and fail. But as long as you decide you're just not going to give up, then you'll make it happen.
It's about having that ambition, as it was stated earlier, right? I mean, I think all of us that have a business have that ambition. Times are tough. We keep going, right? I mean, work through it, sort of thing. So you've got to figure out if you have that drive and that ambition, and if you do, then you go chase after it. It'll come if you put in the time and the effort and have the vision.
And I like what, yeah, and sacrifice, yeah, absolutely, sacrifice a lot. And I like what you said about a vision quest. You know, I think if you can tie your company vision into your personal vision, so that when your company succeeds, you succeed, then you don't. It's much easier to not give up.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we have a
Yeah.
I'm Andrew Dunlap. I have a small shop here in Atlanta. We do websites for attorneys and advertising for them. I have a few clients that are bankruptcy attorneys. They've been around well in the past couple of years. Food on the table.
We should talk.
Yeah. I have a question for you specifically. Sure. Some of the other guys might be able to chime in. But in regards to SEO, say you have client A who sells tricycles, and they hire you. You put them number one. Client B, who also sells tricycles, they hire you. What do you? What happens at that point? I mean, you the only thing I can do was.
I was gonna say, right,
That's-
is that on?
That's the horizontal line, that you gotta be able to deliver to all of those in that industry.
Well, there's only one number stock for tricycles. Let's put it that way.
So,
But you do it so well that
so the question,
how do you
It
get
is.
both of them to
Very
write you a
clear.
check? That's my question.
You must come across it quite often, right?
yeah, yeah, you do. So I have different ways of handling that situation, and I've used multiple ways. It's if they're like exactly the same direct competitors, they're 2 blocks away from each other, selling to the same market, the exact same product, they want the exact same keyword, I refer them to another company. I can't take their business. I can't in good faith say, yeah, I can do the best possible thing for you, and also say to this guy, I'm going to do the best possible thing for you. And that's not a policy. I don't promise my customers that I'll do that, but I have a hard time doing that. But honestly speaking, that's much rarer than you might think it is.
I think it would be.
Yeah, because they want to sell
Not every-
tricycles that are red, or they want to sell tricycles in
exactly.
Detroit. or they
Companies
wanna
are
sell
not
tricycles-
likely to have exact same terms that they think are.
Yeah,
Depends how big your niche is, or how short your niche is.
Well, that's what your niche is.
Right.
Let's say your niche is.
Yeah,
is
bankruptcy lawyers.
Bankruptcy lawyers in Atlanta, I mean, that's.
Right.
I wouldn't take 2 bankruptcy lawyers in Atlanta and do their SEO for them. I would do their PPC for them. It's a little bit different budgets, different things, and there are ways to work around that. If they both came to me, if they came to me at different times, it's much easier because you can say, hey, I've got somebody else already. But how do you pick between 2? It's who would
You're selling a package, though.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you're selling a package, like, you're getting I don't know, maybe that's the way I might handle it. I mean, the same sort of thing, like, 2 clients exactly the same, they're competitors. But if you sold it as a package, like, this is the lawyer installed plan A, they're coming to you for some reason.
Yeah, and if you're just talking about the marketing side, right? I mean, I don't see any conflict of interest in building two websites for 2 different lawyers.
Yeah,
I
you're
don't
talking
see any conflict
specifically
about
about
that
the
at all.
SEO?
You're just talking about the marketing side.
SEO, SEO and placement. I mean,
Yeah.
you sell it. Let's say you do sell package A to both client 1 and 2. One's number 1, one's number 2. Number 2's going to complain. So
All right, yeah, that's specifically on the SEO.
Well, the other thing is that the other way you can handle is you can say, look, you're not hiring me to get you in a particular spot in Google. You're hiring me to get customers in the door for you. So are you going to be happy if I get X number of customers in the door? And if, maybe you run a social media campaign for them, or maybe you do pay-per-click for one guy and SEO for another, or, there's different things that you can sell. I think, for me, transparency is key. You've got to be willing to tell them, look, I've got somebody else in that market. Here's what we're going to do to work around that. Because if they find out, then, I mean, you've come out looking bad. And the only thing that we have that stays with us forever is our reputation.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that we have.
Then again, they may have come to you because of your reputation.
Yeah, we get. I mean, people contact us because they figure out we did the SEO for this company and they're the competitor and they want to get us too. If the original company is not doing business with us anymore, which in the SEO industry there's a lot of turnover. I mean, yeah, then absolutely, I don't see any conflict in that at all. But doing both at the same time, I would shy away from that. But you'd be surprised how rare that is. I mean, we do a lot of business, and there are so many industries and so many verticals, and we do a lot of lawyers in Austin. But we got a bankruptcy lawyer, we got a family lawyer, we got a PI attorney, we got a real estate attorney. And they're all clients of ours. And so we don't go after any of the same key terms for any of them.
there's no clients in the same market that you have that are going after the same clients, same
That is correct.
customers.
That is correct. So you need a good referral relationship with another SEO firm that you can say, hey, I'll send you my conflicts of interest if you'll send me yours. Kind of thing.
So it's a good
I mean, we
mix
should
of
talk.
honesty and morality.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you have to be perfectly honest with the people. I mean, you have to be able, there's a book called Getting Naked, and it's a business fable, and it's a story of a guy who learns how to be completely open and honest with his customers, even when he doesn't know what he's talking about, and even when he's wrong. And it's a great book. And we read it as a company, and one of the things you learned is, look, if you even a little bit hide or shade the truth, and then you get caught, it's a big deal. I mean, it is really, it's you get sued, there's a lot of bad things that can happen, and it's not just, oh, you'll lose some money, it's like, you are tarnished. And we get a lot of business from SEO companies that screw people. We really do. And we're the people come to us and say, we just always heard good things about you, and with other companies we hear mixed things. And it's like, yeah, we shoot straight. We're gonna tell you exactly what we're gonna do, and we're not gonna jerk you around. We're not gonna overpromise. SEO is tough, and I can't guarantee that you're gonna be absolutely number one, but I here's our track record. Here's what we've been able to accomplish for other people, and you gotta make a decision.
I'm sure most of us have learned, I mean, honesty builds trust. I mean, your clients don't expect you to know everything, and when you tell them, in fact, you don't know something you're going to find out for them, it builds more trust, right? I mean, it doesn't waive their confidence in the fact that whether or not you know it, they know that you're going to go out and learn it. They don't know everything. They want someone that will deliver, learn and basically deliver.
It's the deliverables.
Yeah.
They want to know, what are you going to deliver
Yeah.
to them? Yeah. What is the company that you're with in Knoxville?
WATE Channel 6.
By the way, there's one element here that's kind of humorous in a way, and also a portion of this whole picture I see. I'm sure that all of us, and you mentioned that the client comes, I want to be number one in Google. And so they don't come and say, I want to increase my profits, I want to increase my sales, I want to be number one in Google. And I had a client, and I turned him onto an SEO, and they got him into the right target market. They increased the hits to the site, all of that. His sales didn't go up. And he said, why? He said, you failed. I said, no, you can lead a horse to water,
Right.
but you can't make them buy your product.
Yeah.
And that's a hard sell to the client, because they come to you for help and you give them help, and then they don't get what they want, but they didn't tell you exactly what it was they wanted.
We've spent years learning that exact lesson, and learning why that happens, and we are still coming up with solutions to that exact problem. I can sit down here and show you a long list of past clients that are the top 3 or 4 in the search engines and are no longer clients.
Yep.
Why not? We did exactly what it is that they came to us expecting us to do. Why not? Well, if your conversion rate is 0.5%, and you've got 1,000 people a month coming to your site, and I get you to the top of the search engine, and now you've got 1,500 people a month coming to your site, the difference in sales is so negligible that they feel ripped off. And is it my fault that their site doesn't sell very well? Well, now it is, because now I understand what the issue is. And so I don't, and that's another thing, somebody said, how do you know when to take a project? One of our things is we never get into or stay in a relationship if